Hello and welcome back to the series of Exploring Justice. Today we have another question that balances utilitarianism and other values that we may deem as important. The question is not a specific scenario, rather giving the direction of how a government should act. The question reads, number 8. What if the majority of the members of a community derive pleasure from being racist? Should we let them be racist if that would produce the greatest balance of pleasure? Are some pleasures objectionable? There are some ways that we can approach this question. Jeremy Bentham has quite a high chance of saying yes to the first question. This question directly tells us that it would indeed produce a greater pleasure if we allow people to be racist. Bentham would argue that, although it seems cruel intuitively, the most important thing at the end of the day is the sum of the pleasures and pain. He would argue that there is no hierarchy or important or vulnerable stakeholders, and we should aim for the greatest happiness. Bentham would believe there are no objectionable pleasures, and that the only objectionable things is falling into the fallacy of another standard, and by doing so deprioritizing the idea of maximum pleasure. Mill might say the same thing, as a utilitarianist himself, but I think it is more possible that he says no to the first question. Mill is a supporter of the harm principle, the people that people only have freedom until it doesn't harm others. Being racist clearly harms racial minorities. Mill may also condemn racism because of the quality of pleasures. He might classify being racist as something that a swine would do, an instinctive low pleasure rather than a high one. But there is a chance where he does not believe this, because the standard for quality is the preference of many informed people, maybe implying that the majority is making the correct choice. Still, his stance is unlikely to be racist for the first argument on harm principle, and I think that is the main reason why he will not support being racist. I know that this section is dedicated to utilitarianism, but this is a question about governments and ruling. Therefore, I think it's a good question to think about Locke's perspective. John Locke. Locke believes that people have inalienable rights to life, liberty, and property. He believes that it may be difficult for them to be kept in a state of nature, because then there will not be a unified agreed standards. That is where Locke sees the importance and the role of governments, and that they should intervene in there. The government aims to keep the inalienable rights and has the power to make decisions, and as long as it is aimed for the greater good and is not arbitrary. Seeing this, we can predict what Locke may say. He may argue that the majority has the right to make a choice, as following them leads to a desirable government. However, I feel that it is unlikely he would say that. Rather, he is most likely to say we should not follow the racist majority in this case, as it overrides the inalienable rights of the minority. The rights of life, their humanity, should not be tarnished by degrading speech and action. The rights of liberty, to be able to enjoy facilities that majorities can. The rights of property, to not be annexed to things based on race. This question ties us to a real-life situation. Although the basic concept of democracy is to follow the majority, what are the limitations of the majority's power? When do we favor minorities, and to what extent do we favor minorities? The answer to today's question is that we should not follow the racist majority. Some pleasures are objectionable. Utilitarianism can be objected to here by using the harm principle, explained why discussing what Mill might say. There's also a utilitarian reason to object this. If society treats minorities as such, people live in fear of being mistreated. We may always be in a minority even if we think we aren't. We might have a political opinion and vote for a certain party, but they don't get elected. We might have a personal preference that people don't agree with that much, and I'm looked as a weird person. If we absolutely block out the opinions of the minority, we cannot feel total comfort in that, due to the feeling it may be us next time that are discriminated. A libertarian rebuttal can also be done, to the point that says we should be racist. People have rights to not be treated inhumanely just because of their race. Utilitarianism cannot be extended to go against the rights of people. This is the type of question that many people will agree to not be racist. This question highlights the importance of rights of people by giving an intuitive situation where respecting the minority looks correct. I'm curious about what you think too. What's your answer, and what's the principle being used there? That's it for today. See you in the next entry.